Welcome to the Welcome to episode 9 of Rainbows on Wax. I'm Alex.
And I'm Steve.
You know, actually, before we get into any sort of topic this week, I know we are a topical podcast, but I did hear this thing, and this is off topic of music, but on topic of podcasts. And I don't know if it's true or if it's just one of those Instagram people that are trying to like hype you up. But they said that if you've made, I think it's like 21 episodes of podcasts, you're in like the top 1%.
Wow, okay.
Because like most people who start a podcast like might do 1 or 2 episodes. Yeah. Some people make it to 10. Rarely does anyone get to 20. And then by the time you get to 21, you're actually in like the top 1%.
We're halfway to the top 1%.
We're halfway to 1%.
Sick.
And you know, we just got to keep going.
Vote for 5 stars over here, please. Yeah.
And we'll do like a celebratory something.
Yeah.
We'll do something special for episode 21 to be like, yeah, we're in the top 1%. We're in 1%
1% club. Yeah. Maybe a tattoo.
Something like that. Yeah,
giveaway or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this week, I just wanted to know a bit about what, you know, as much as like you probably look at us here and think, yeah, these guys hang out every single day. We don't. We have our own lives. We have our own jobs that we do. So it's awesome to get to catch up. So I'm going to hear what Steve's been up to in the last week. I know one project you've been working on.
Which project do you...
The Nuff and Butter project.
Yep.
Now, again, hopefully we're not spilling any beans. Like, we don't need to go into any details. Like, I'm sure these bands hopefully don't care too much.
No. They love it.
It's on their social media, right? So I feel like if it's on their social media, we're allowed to...
It's already public.
We're talking about it. So this is a special project. Yeah. One for me as well, because these guys came to Music Club. Mm-hmm. Tradies, like they're all rolling in their like high vis. Yeah. You know, just the most unsuspecting band. They played at the showcases, but they'd never recorded before. And I was like, oh, you guys have to go record with Steve. Yeah. At Yamanui. Like, what should we do? You know, I was like, this is the answer here. Yeah.
Sick. Thank you for that.
No, it's all good. Like it's a no-brainer. How did it go? Like these guys are pretty fresh.
So Paulie B was on that project too. Absolute weapon.
Yep.
And so Paulie and myself, you know, these guys demoed themselves at home in their rehearsal session. Yep. Paulie just kind of reverse engineered the whole band and just had this amazing vision for them. And we tackled it. And those guys were like such a fun crew to have in the studio. Yeah. And so open to all our ideas and stuff. So it was like Nuff and Butter is psych rock, kind of different sections every 8 bars kind of thing. But very cool players. And
it's kind of like complicated music for what is a fairly like new band. Like they're not, so they're good at what they do, but they're not like super experienced.
No.
So it's pretty techie.
They've been playing together for 5 years.
Yeah.
Which is a long time for a band. Like,
yeah.
They're on the way to longevity.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait to see what those guys do in 20 years.
Yeah.
You know? But 5 years without recording anything. So this was their first track they're laying down, and they were just over the moon to be in that process, you know. And
they're really humble guys, excited.
Super humble. Yeah. Hands on the entire way, open to both Paulie and I, like our ideas, and the record is sick. Like it's something I would drop the needle on for sure. Like I mean,
I heard it and it wasn't even mixed. I mean, it was like there was a rough mix on there, what we call a desk mix in the in the studio land, but it sounds great already. I mean, I wouldn't do too much to how it sounds already. Like
it's funny you say that, because like it was 2 days of production. Paulie had the idea of, because they are such a section-based band, that we would track section by section. So live drops, the whole band was set up live. Pick the best takes of each section. Paulie kind of cut it together into a song arrangement. And then we overdubbed all the extra bits. So it was like synths, keys parts, vocals, extra guitar parts, those sorts of things, cleaning up solos.
Yeah.
Maybe a drum fill or a transition here and there. But most of the hard work was done in that first day, and the boys were well rehearsed, and
Yeah.
Paulie kind of mixed some sections, like he would use one drum mic and then it would expand out into 8 and things like that, where it was different flavors, different colors throughout. And
because that guitar riff is killer. I was like, how has no one done this before? It's like really good riff.
Yeah.
Real earworm.
Lots of distortion.
Yeah.
And it was funny because it was like 7:30 on the last day in the night, and everyone was finished, and we're kind of putting the mix together, and the boys had like a list of mix notes. I'm like, everyone calm down. You're going to undo some really good shit here. Like, just sleep on it. Yeah. And come back in a week, let it settle. Let the mix settle, and before you go and change a bunch of stuff, and I reckon they're loving it, to be honest.
I think they should be. I sent them a message about it and was like, you guys should be stoked. You should be really proud of what you've accomplished for your first song.
Yeah.
The mix note stuff is a funny one, hey, because generally with a band, like, they all just want their thing louder.
Yeah.
Like, that's generally the mix
or as
notes.
Close to their organic performance as possible.
Yeah.
Which is that's very common.
Yeah.
But we would put like Leslie, like panning kind of effects on the vocal, make it watery and cool, and they're like, oh, that's a bit weird, but it's sick, dude. Roll with it, you know. And we kind of, it was a collaboration in that sense, but yeah.
No, I think it's going to come out real nice. So stay tuned. Nothing Butter. Sweet psych rock band, Sunshine Coast guys, really awesome people.
Yeah.
Pumped to see what comes of that. What else? What else has been going on at Yamanui or?
So Chucho Stonewax project is cooking.
Yep. You did a video?
Yeah, first music video for the debut single. We're in the studio on this Thursday going to do a live video for another track.
Yep.
So we're just creating all the content before we start dropping a bunch of stuff. We want to really...
Who'd you get to do the video?
Some Argentinian friends of ours.
Yep.
New to the scene. It was Juan Montes.
Good. I saw some stuff on social media. Like, it looked pretty pro.
Yeah, it was really sick. Gregor, don't ask me to pronounce his last name, but we hired Frank X Studio.
Yep.
In Kawana, I want to say. But yeah, infinity wall, cool lights. Wicked. We had some contemporary dancers involved, and it was just really cool, artsy kind of concept. And yeah, there was a lot of fun. Yeah, huge day. I got so tired just sitting there.
Sat there all day while they were dancing around you.
Yeah. And then I'm mixing Glycol, which is a grunge punk kind of heavy band from Brisbane. They just did another underground gig on the weekend. Yep. They just got into a drainway and dragged a PA under this drainway and
sick. Yeah,
ticketed it and told all their friends to bring flashlights. And
so that was the lighting. Was just like
everyone holding a flashlight.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, dude, those guys.
I want to go to one of those gigs.
Yeah,
I need to come do one up here.
Yeah, they've done 3 of those where they'll just drag a community and a PA to just this underground spot, whether it's a abandoned car park or a bridge or some drainway in the city. And so, those guys are mentoring as well.
Yeah, nice.
So just kind of allowing them to lean on my knowledge anytime they need to. And, if they need help with merch or they need help setting up their EPKs and all those sorts of things, I'm just kind of guiding them through those processes.
Yeah, nice.
Mixing the album, and like that's just nostalgia for me. Like it's taken me back to my teenage punk years.
Yeah, punk and heavy.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
real good.
How about you? What do you got cooking?
Well, a few little things. We had that locals only gig.
Yeah.
Which was a tester at the station, a brand new concept.
Yeah.
Of basically the idea was like we charge $10, all the money goes to the bands. So Nirani, who was going to play, was actually sick, so she didn't end up playing. But we had Cal and Mai replacing Wife Cult because one of them was in hospital, so they couldn't come. We had Buttermellow, which is dope, and Demi Kasha, all like really good.
Yeah.
I was stoked to get to try this sort of new PA system, and sounds like really nice.
Yeah.
Nexo system.
Yeah.
Small speakers, but like insane
clarity. And,
yeah. It was wild what you could do with that. I honestly kind of thought like it would be me in the audience, and like whatever the other bands were. These are like tough concepts, I guess, to start somewhere. But I reckon we had like 70, 80 people show up.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
For a Thursday night.
It's cold.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it was really sweet. We kind of had like this outdoor stage set up. I kind of went a bit overboard with some lights and like fairy lights and like printed out locals only and like put things around the stage like lamps just to make it feel a bit more cool. And we ended up getting a ping pong table, cornhole, bar, food. Like it kind of felt like a backyard party.
Good.
So I
love that vibe.
We'll continue it. We'll do it on a Friday. Yeah. It'll be fun. Yeah. The next one I think is the 19th with Nuff and Butter.
Sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
hold a ticket for me.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. Yeah. I think it'll grow each time. You know, it's gonna. Anyway, we can do it inside, like you know, if it's raining and stuff like that. We can get heaters. We can put on a fire like that. We'll keep that one going. I think.
So it was at the shipping container stage. It
was like in the middle, like to kind of keep it tight. We sort of shut that area off because there's just so much space there.
Yeah.
So we pulled it forward to this other stage area that we have, and I just extended it with some more staging, lights, backdrop. You know, so that area was kind of tight, and then I just like put, you know, these gigs. I feel like if it's not, you know, like I mean, these bands are loud and like danceable, but to be honest, I think most people kind of want to sit down, have a drink, get food. So there's sort of like high tables and chairs and stuff. And I know it's like, it's maybe sucks for bands when like people aren't like standing up.
It's weird.
But I think it's nicer.
It's a weird time, and it is nice for the punter.
Yeah.
But COVID did change that habit a lot, I feel. And it just depends on the venue too. Like
depends on the venue, depends on the size of the audience. Like if you're all packed into a room, it's cool to kind of be standing there and vibing. But I feel like if there's a lot of space, like it's cool to kind of watch and just enjoy. And everyone was still like clapping and listening and really nice.
Yeah.
There was some young girls actually for Buttermellow that came because it was like an all ages gig.
Yeah.
I want to say they're like 17 or something. And I love Buttermellow.
Yeah.
These guys are great. I didn't realize how they could kind of attract this type of fan. There was dead set like 4, maybe 5 girls there who were so loud and like ended up like jumping up on stage and like singing a song with them. But it was sick vibe. I was like, dudes, like these are the type of fans that you want. I was just kind of stoked to even see that young people were out for a local band and just like getting on board with it and getting psyched and yelling and screaming and like, I just haven't seen that.
You should just hire those girls for every gig.
100%.
Free ticket.
Yeah.
And a feed. Like just come and do your noisy shit. Like
I get it for your big
hype girls.
Your big artists. Like they got thousands of millions of hype girls and and whatever. But you know, for a local band to kind of be attracting that attention, like good on them. You know, like they must be doing something right to
That's awesome.
You know, turn the heads of these young girls. What else? I did some songwriting with Austin Mackay. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. He's I actually thought Austin was local, but turns out he's not. He's from Newcastle. I met him through the Dregs.
That maybe is where I've seen his name around.
Yeah, I reckon he supported them a while back. He also supported Brad Cox, who I've worked with on his tour. So Austin, legendary young guy making music. I think he sort of started a bit more surfy folk and he's kind of moving into more like country folk, just naturally, where he feels more at home.
Yep.
But yeah, really good kid, good songwriter. Pumped to see what he does. I think he did play up here on the coast. I'm sure some coastal people went along to that. But yeah, living out of a van, just living the dream.
Yeah.
Sick van, sick setup. Also caught up with Paddy from the Dregs. Last night we played Fortnite.
Sick. That's a hangout.
So yeah, that was a hang. Yeah, I just saw him online. I reckon he's been back from tour like a day.
Yeah.
Straight on Fortnite. I was like, me and my son are learning how to play, and anyway, so we talked about music for like 10 seconds, and
then detach.
Detached and went back to playing.
Just go to a different realm, like alternate reality.
Yeah, a lot of musicians do that. Eh? Like, yeah, heaps of them play video games. I think it's a great way to kind of wind down.
Man, I should try that. I should try.
Well, yeah, it could be. I think it's an addictive thing.
Yeah,
you know, like you get.
I suppose I'm busy enough as it is.
Yeah, it's like finding that time. But I guess like those touring bands too. Like when you're away, like it's 24/7. So when you get back, hopefully you got some downtime to just zonk out with some Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Which I honestly never thought I'd play, and now I'm loving it. I'm level 94. Playing heaps of Fortnite. Trying to teach my kid.
What's your avatar look like?
Well, yesterday it was a Ninja Turtle. Like it was Leonardo.
Sick.
Yeah, or Raphael. Wow. We got one of those. And then there's other, like, I don't know all the lore of Fortnite. Mm-hmm. There's other characters on there that I'm sure there's some sort of lore.
Isn't it quite lawless though?
Well, there's a lot of like Ninja Turtles, and like Metallica is the theme at the moment, which is kind of cool. So there's like all this Metallica music, and then there's like massive avatars of Metallica like playing up. And
they're just like shredding while you're just roaming.
Yeah, they're shredding. Their music's there. I wonder how lucrative it is. Like I'm sure they're like bands are doing well.
How's that for a sync placement?
Yeah,
I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
That's sick.
I did read or like saw that like Kid Laroi and like people like Travis Scott were launching music through Fortnite.
Wow.
So you'd like log into a game.
Yeah.
And I guess they'd have like an avatar or like a 3D representation, and the song was being released through the game.
I've been to like online events where you go in with your avatar and you watch like a performance or someone produce music live. Like I've seen that, but I didn't realize it was happening I should have put two and two together really, but
it makes complete sense. I mean, there's often soundtracks like for these games, which is cool that it's like not just generic music, I guess, as well. Like they're actually, hopefully paying artists, for their music. I'm sure they are, to be like in the game. And I think you can buy music as well. Like you can actually, I've seen it up there. I haven't done it yet, but yeah, basically you can go into like your character and there'll be like songs that I guess you can buy and kind of play on your Fortnite radio.
Right.
Like while you're playing the game, which is kind of cool. Because I remember back in the day you could, like on Xbox, there was the media player, Windows media player.
Yeah.
And you could put CDs in, I'm pretty sure, and rip them, or maybe it was like a USB situation. And then basically it was like your media player. You could have that there and you pause the game and open up your media player and hit play, and it would like play your music while you're playing Halo or whatever it was that you're playing.
I remember that.
Yeah, and you could turn down the game music and then turn up your music, which is a shame they don't have that available with new Xboxes, unless there's some sort of app that does it. But
it's all online now, though, right? There's still hard drives and stuff in the Xbox.
Yeah,
nowadays.
Definitely need to be connected. Like Fortnite's obviously an online game.
Yeah.
But there is games that still can just exist locally on your Xbox. You don't have to be online for it. Once you've downloaded it or you've got a disc, even if you've got a disc, you're still going to need to download it. You need some sort of internet connection. Mm-hmm. But I just always love that idea of playing your own music, soundtracking your own music. Which it'd be hard to do these days. Mm-hmm, like I don't know where my hard drives are with all my old like thousands of songs that would have been like either bought or ripped. Because that was the only way to do it back in the day with iTunes.
I used to have one of those hard drives that was like
like a brick.
This huge brick, man. Like it was almost like a rack unit. Like
needed power.
Yeah, you needed its own power supply.
But you could share that around, and like that's how you get music, and like people with the best hard drive, and you could like grab all their stuff off of it. It was dope. But I think I don't know, gaming and music just go so hand in hand. I do it like the old school way, where I'll have, because we have two TVs in the living room, so if no one's home, I'll have like my gaming TV and then turn the music down and turn the other TV on with Spotify. And then I can soundtrack the gaming experience. But that's just when I'm playing by myself. Like, if you're all online and chatting.
Yeah.
And can't do that.
PJs, just like
Yeah, just vegged out.
Yeah.
Just like even Fortnite's a bit too quick for me. It's like other games like Diablo and things like that.
Oh,
I can
man.
just sink into.
I'm such a novice with that stuff. Like even when Halo came out, I was the guy getting shot every time.
I suck. Yeah. What's that saying? They call me 007, 0 kills, 0 assists, 7 deaths. Yeah, I really suck, but I just love it. And it's only been the past few years for me, honestly. Probably since since COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
I think it was in lockdown. I was like, shit, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people had, like, if you didn't have children during lockdown, I know it was hard for everybody, but you could do what you wanted. You could drink, you could smoke, you could make music, whatever you want to do. But I had a 2-year-old that I had to entertain every day. And he just, it was tricky. So I was like, bought an Xbox and was like, let's do this as well. Kid can do his thing and I can be.
Yeah.
So honestly, it was only the last few years I've been playing games.
Yeah.
Before that, I did not.
Late bloomer to the gaming world.
Yeah. Well, I did a little bit when I was younger. I think everyone played a bit of Nintendo when they're younger and a bit of Xbox and whatever.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, Tony Hawk, stuff like that. So, that's been my week. It's been, wet up here again on the Sunshine Coast.
It's normal now, isn't it?
It's just how we live. Raining coast.
Yeah, mold coast.
But, and then we have Music Club as well. Yeah. So, which may be an episode, may not be an episode, but we had Kaiser in from Common Folk.
Yep.
Epic conversation for anyone who was there.
Yes.
Whether it comes out as a podcast or not, we're not sure.
Yeah.
But we can release snippets of it, or anyone who is from Music Club and really wants the conversation, we can have a private link to it. But there was dropouts.
There was some technical difficulties.
I don't know what it was. It could have been, my computer is starting to like run out of space, and I'm wondering if that was it or it's a ghost in Logic.
Yeah.
Logic has these ghosts where
gremlins, I call them.
Yeah. Like I know there's like one that sometimes appears, this little red bar that like pops up at the top, and it will only record like anything in that red bar. And for ages we just couldn't figure out how to get rid of it. But I do wonder if like there is a limit to like if I put a setting on for like how long I want to record something in particular.
Yeah, it was so random, so inconsistent as well.
So so weird, so random.
Yeah.
Like I've recorded live bands on that computer with 16 channels running at the same time for hours. Anyway, so
we're gonna try and edit that episode.
If not, we'll go and interview her again because she's a wealth of knowledge.
Exactly. It was a great conversation, worthy of happening twice for sure.
Yeah, really interesting to hear what Ziggy's been up to, what Kaiser's up to, how he's able to support 12 full-time employees on the Sunshine Coast. So stay tuned for that one.
Yes. Today's topic, though, we want to talk about imposter syndrome. Now, it's something that most of us have experienced throughout life. Basically, the terminology imposter syndrome means when you feel like an imposter when you're trying to do something. It could be if you're changing career and if you're hitting all those walls of uncertainty and, you start feeling those anxiety feelings and whatnot. Am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right decisions? Those sorts of things.
Do I belong?
Yeah. Is this right for me? Why am I even here? All the questions we run into, especially as creatives, especially as musicians in such a hectic industry that is constantly ebbing and flowing.
Yeah.
So it's hard to know exactly how you need to do things.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of industry where you don't really need to follow any formula. I think it's a bad idea to follow a formula.
Yeah, it probably means it's already been done and it's like something that, I'd say if you're like interested in following a formula, you're kind of better off like jumping onto somebody else's thing.
Yes.
And there's no shame in that. Like if you like really love somebody's music or a style or a scene, it's like, I would say kind of like figure out where that's happening and what's happening with that and get involved and get amongst it rather than trying to be like, oh, I'm just going to like steal all your ideas and like do my own version of that.
Yeah.
because you'll always be left behind.
Yes.
They'll always be like a few steps ahead because you're not aware of like how it's growing. Yeah, imposter syndrome, it's come up for me, like from people talking to me about it for a really long time. It's not something I've like necessarily experienced heaps. For one reason or another. It could just be like ego stuff where you just think, I don't really give a shit.
That's the best way to be.
Yeah.
Like the subtle art of not giving a fuck, right? Like if you don't care what other people think, you're doing the right things.
Yeah.
Like, you just do it for you. Do it because you want to be doing it. Right?
Yeah.
That's the alternative to imposter syndrome. And that's how you should think, I feel.
100%. You'll have way more fun.
Yeah.
And I think too, that's like, it comes from that kind of chase. Like if you're chasing a certain sound, a certain like image, a certain audience, like you just kind of need to let it grow normally. You know, and find your people and find your sound, and like you'll be who you're going to be.
Yeah.
You know, like it's really hard to force it in music. I find that like it's probably what separates us from classical music. Whereas classical music is kind of interpreting these famous songs, and you know, and they're very amazing music and pieces of music, but they're like highly trained in like to how to play it exactly how it's written.
Yeah.
And you know, the training involved in that is wild. Whereas like if someone was to like train you to be like, all right, like I want you to be the next, I don't know, like Matt Corby, it's like all the training to like mimic everything that they're doing is pointless for one, and really, really hard, especially with singing, you know, as you know, the voice, the tone, it's like hard to teach that. I know that's why I think again with classical, it's opera. So they're kind of like using all these techniques to have a certain sound, and they all, you know, I'm sure that there's subtle differences. I don't really know. I don't listen to heaps of opera. But, you know, generally I think the lay person is going to listen to opera and be like, oh, like it sounds like any other opera. Like their voices sort of sound the same and doing the same thing. Whereas you listen to like, you know, your music that you like, you're going to know the difference between, you know, Sufjan Stevens and Death Cab for Cutie. And again, maybe somebody who doesn't listen to that music very much is like, it all sounds the same to me. But if you like that music, you're going to know the difference between it. And there's a uniqueness to it that makes it, you know, its own thing. I'd say that's where you start with your brain to like not sort of get that imposter syndrome. It's generally early on, I would say. Like younger people probably experience it more. As you get older, you don't really care as much. Yeah.
Still people early in their careers will feel that, you know.
Yeah, I'm not worthy.
Yep.
You know. And again, like those things can all come from these like false expectations that you're putting on yourself. Or if you're reading about an artist or a band, oh, they did all these things, so I better do these things too. It's like, you can't do that. You don't know. You don't really know.
There is things you can mimic. Like there are certain things that you can, like, you know, take a leaf in that sense. Like if you, like there's all right, here's an example. So advertising your music or market, like certain marketing techniques for your music. You could go to, say if you're a psych rock band, Nothing Butter, for example.
Yep.
You could go to a King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard show and hand out free CDs at their lineup, because you can, it's like taking a leaf out of their book. It's like, that's the lookalike fan base, right?
Yep.
That's the ideal fan base for you, for a psych band.
Yep.
You know, that's how you can kind of position yourself. You could, you know, hit the ground running by just hitting that audience straight away with free CDs of your music, because you know they're there for that reason.
And that's what I think, like, it's almost the opposite of imposter syndrome. It's like, you know, because if you were like, I'm an imposter, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go to the King Giz show and hand out your CDs and be like, oh, like, I don't know if these people are going to like it, so I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like getting that confidence in you to sort of be like, nah, this is who I am. This is what I do. It probably comes from like your community as well. Like if you're just sort of out there like Lone Ranger doing your own thing, you'll probably feel a bit like, oh, do I deserve this? Like, why do people want to listen to me? You know, it is, why would they want to listen to you anyway? You know, like I always think that as well. At the same time, it's like, maybe they don't want to listen to you, but maybe they do. Like there's equal chance of both. So yeah, putting that negativity onto yourself is just no way to start a music career.
Yeah.
You don't know what songs are going to succeed. Like really, like I never know.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Stuff pops up all the time and I'm like, whoa, like I had no idea that this would be a thing. And then other stuff I'm like, oh, this is a sure thing. It's like, nah. No one vibed it. Okay, whatever. Next song.
Yeah,
like.
exactly right. And that's that not giving a fuck attitude and just continuing the process for your own sanity.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, it's not everything's going to hit with everyone. But you got to be able to understand, well, not understand why. Like that shouldn't matter. But it's understanding that it is part of the process.
Yeah.
Like 100 no's and a yes is still a yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially in the music industry, right?
Yeah.
So just following that process and being unapologetic about it.
Yeah.
You know? Imposter syndrome is like it can bombard you. It can like if you let it really build up in you, it can become depression. Like if you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you stagnate.
You stagnate.
I think the cure to it is like, is not giving a fuck, not giving a shit. It's how I've kind of always operated and just like blindly going into the dark of going like, this song is so sick, like just getting so pumped and so stoked on it, or the production or whatever it is, or the engineering. And even though you're still learning, and in the back of my mind, I probably was like, oh, like it's not like exactly how I imagined it, but I'm still stoked that it's something, and like it's better than like not doing anything at all, because you'll notice those improvements over a long period of time. It's probably why music, you know, suffers from imposter syndrome, because it's not something that's like cured right away.
It's hard to see results instantly.
Yeah. There's not just like, oh, we can use a different machine or something. You know, there's so much like little things that make up a great song. Including production, including engineering, including songwriting. Some of those things can kill it as well, just as much as they can like give it life. So yeah, I think those things is like, just remember to get stoked. Remember to like just be excited. Remember something is better than nothing when it comes to like releasing music and making things. Those I'd say would be like a couple of mind things. There's probably books that you can read about these things too.
Not attaching yourself to an outcome.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a big one that I learned early on in my career as well, because like if you start attaching yourself to the outcome of what it should be, or how someone else has done it, or like, you know, the dream of like that one sure stepstone on how it's going to get there, like it could not work, like you said. So it's
freedom from the known.
Exactly.
The book I read that did that for me was like, just free yourself from any outcome.
Yeah.
Even Rick Rubin, I know like anyone who listens to music probably looks at his tweets. His recent one was as soon as a song is released, you're successful. That's it. You know, and so I agree with that. As soon as you've put the song out into the world, it's a success. It's great. It's out there. It's doing something.
You're a musician.
Yeah, exactly. Because the other alternative is like, you never give it a go. You never try. Like you never release something. As good or as talented as you are and as much money as you spend on these things, like, then you actually are an imposter. Yeah. You know, you actually don't belong because you're not, participating in it. So I guarantee that no one's perfect.
Exactly right. I've gotten to the point now with my music in particular, right? I've been very experimental across the board with everything I do, so it's kind of part of my nature. But even with how I'm presenting the mixes, like I'm pushing into that loudness war.
Oh yeah.
Like trialing mastering techniques that are just like competitive to like Skrillex and Diplo, where they're just stacking limiters and they're hitting like -11 LUFS, like stupidly loud. But then stuff where I've just made it quieter just to see how much I can turn it up through Spotify.
Yeah.
Because we all know that MP3s come out through Spotify heavily compressed. They don't always sound as good as we would like them. Music's like the whole process is entirely subjective. So one mastering engineer might hear it a different way to how you want to hear it. And, you could compare yourself to some heavy sub frequencies from Tyler, the Creator, as opposed to, tight little kind of mid-rangey mixes like
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang Clan, like distorted, hitting the red, Yeah. So I've been like, fuck it. Like, let's try all these different ways, and I'll be the judge of what I like.
Yeah. I'd say, like, arguably, I know Tyler's obviously very successful, so is Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
They sound completely different, both insanely successful.
Yeah.
Both were just doing exactly what they could do with what they had.
Yeah.
And, what was more important was having fun, building community, getting their music out there. That was way more important, potentially, than how it sounded. I'm sure they all just thought it sounded super dope, because at the time it probably did. But yeah, Wu-Tang, that like Enter the Wu-Tang is one of the worst like sounding albums.
Did you ever watch the documentary of what was the doco called? It was like, I can't remember. It was on Stan, and basically it showed RZA in the studio with the engineers, and they're just like, really gently mixing things. Yeah. He's like, nah, man. And he pushes it up all the faders, and all the speakers are just like throbbing, distorted. He's like, that's the sound.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, you're going to break shit.
But that's it. It's just that dumb, intuition to just go and do something.
And surely that kind of started that tonality of those sub frequencies, just like rattling subs, like,
because they didn't really have subs. They had like speakers like this, which are not, I mean, it is technically a sub, but not like we have today. Like, it's not pushing air like we have today. So to make these kind of really pop, they would have had to do something different.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays we have, subs, these like hi-fi systems that are really easy.
And they can handle that kind of push.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why there's only one here.
Yeah.
Because I blew up the other one.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, get out there, get your music out there, do something.
Yeah. Try shit without holding yourself back.
100%.
Like, you're not an imposter if you're doing it for the sake of doing it. Like,
Yeah.
Should leave that one there.
Tune in next week for another episode of Rainbows on Wax.
Rainbows.